Good morning.
Hi, today is Friday, December 3rd, and we're going to be reading
December 3rd? No.
4th.
December 4th. And we're going to be reading Gabriel. We're 5 and 6.
What did Gabriel make? Fox.
Oh, Gabriel has been making lots and lots of huskies, and that one's a cat.
No, it's a fox.
Oh, it's a fox.
Foxes is in the dog family.
Foxes are in the dog family?
I think they're in the cat.
No, in
That is interesting. I don't have an answer for you.
because that's what I wanted to ask. Some foxes.
Some foxes.
Some foxes.
And
Some foxes is in the dog family.
Oh, what did we find out today? What did we do today?
Oh, go to the what is it?
Dentist?
Dentist to the my tongue tip.
Get your tongue clipped. Did it happen?
Not today.
Not today. Why?
Because we went to it, but one of the guys said
The doctor, the dentist,
yeah.
he said it's much bigger than what he is used to, and he's not comfortable with this one. Bless
So
you.
we have to go to another place.
We're going to an ENT specialist.
And we did now we have another one.
So, and they actually
Monday.
said today that the way that you talk is very, very good for how tight your tongue is. And that you have to really use your muscles a lot just to get the words where we can understand them. So good job, buddy.
Complimenting me.
Yeah, he did. All right. Belshazzar's feast.
Belshazzar the king made a great feast for 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. While he tasted the wine, Belshazzar commanded that they bring in the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple, which was in Jerusalem, so that the king and his officials, his wives, and his concubines might drink from them. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem. And the king and the officials, his wives, and his concubines drank from them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver and bronze and of iron, of wood and of stone. The writing on the wall. Immediately figures of a man's hand appeared and wrote opposite the lampstands on the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the back of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees struck against one another. The king cried out loud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, the soothsayers. And the king spoke and said to the wise men of Babylon, "Whoever shall read the writing and show me its interpretation shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom." Then all the king's wise men came in, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king its interpretation. Then King Belshazzar was greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his nobles were astonished. Now the queen came into the banquet house because of the words of the king and his nobles. And the queen spoke and said, "O king, live forever. Do not let your thoughts trouble you, or let your countenance be changed. There is a man in your kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy God. And in the days of your father, light and understanding and wisdom like the wisdom of the gods were found in him. And King Nebuchadnezzar, your father and the king made him master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers, inasmuch as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting dreams and explanation of enigmas and solving of problems were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will give the interpretation." Daniel interprets the writing. Then Daniel was brought in before the king, and the king spoke and said to Daniel, "Are you the Daniel who is one of the sons of the captivity of Judah, whom the king of my father brought out of Egypt? Now I have heard of you, and the Spirit of God is in you, and that the light and understanding and excellent wisdom have been found in you. Now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing, and made known to me its interpretation, but they could not give the interpretation of the matter. And I've heard of you, that you can give interpretation and solve problems. Now if you can read the writing, and make known to me its interpretation, you shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about your neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let your gifts be for yourself, or give your rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing to the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O king, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar the father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all peoples, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would, he slaughtered, and whom he would, he kept alive. Whom he would, he set up, and whom he would, he put down. But when his heart was lifted up and mind-hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the animals, and his dwelling was with the wild donkeys. He was given grass to eat like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, until he knew that the Most High God rules in the kingdom of men, and that he appoints over it whomever he wills. Yet you, his son, O Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, though you knew all this, but have lifted up yourself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his kingdom before you. And you and your lords, your wives, and your concubines have drunk wine in them. And you have praised the gods of silver and gold, of bronze, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know. And the God in whose hand is your breath, and whose are all your ways, you have not glorified. Then the hand was sent from him, and this inscription was written. This is the inscription that was written. Mene, Tekel of Harson. This is an interpretation of the message. Mene, God has numbered your kingdom and put an end to it. Tekel, you have been weighed in the balances and are found wanting. Perez, your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. And Belshazzar gave the command, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him that he would be the third ruler in the kingdom. That same night Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, was slain. Then Darius the Mede received the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Chapter 6.
Okay, so then Darius the Mede. So this is a new king now.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So Daniel in the lion's den. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 officials, so that they could be over the whole kingdom, and over them 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first. So the officials might give accounts to them, and the king not suffer loss. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and officials, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and officials sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could not find no occasion or fault, because he was faithful, nor was there any error or fault found in him. Then these men said, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, unless we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Then these presidents and officials assembled together to the king, and said to them, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the officials, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute, to make a firm decree that whoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish a decree and sign the writing, that it should not be changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which may not be altered. Therefore King Darius signed the writing, even the decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, He kneeled on his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he had been doing previously. And these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplications before his God. Then they came near and spoke before the king concerning the king's decree. Have you not signed a decree that every man who asks a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which may not be altered. Then they answered and said before the king, that Daniel, who was of the sons of the captivity of Judah, does not regard you, O king, or the decree that you have signed, but makes these petitions 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sorely displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored until sunset to deliver him. Then these men came by agreement to the king and said to the king, Know, O king, that it is the law of the Medes and the Persians that no decree or statute which the king establishes may be changed. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spoke and said to Daniel, Your God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you. Daniel saved from the lions. A stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet and with the signet of his lords, so that nothing that might be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace, passed the night fasting, and no instruments of music were brought before him, and the sleep fled from him. Then the king arose early in the morning and went in haste to the den of lions. When he came to the den, he cried with a voice full of sorrow to Daniel. And the king spoke and said to Daniel, Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve, continually been able to deliver you from the lions? And Daniel said to the king, O king, live forever. My God has sent his angel and has shut the lions' mouths so that they have not hurt me, because innocence was found in me before him, and also before you, O king, I have done no harm. Then the king was exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they take Daniel out of the den. So Daniel was taken out of the den, and no manner of harm was found on him, because he believed in his God. Then the king commanded, and they brought those men who had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives. And the lions overpowered them and broke all their bones in pieces before they came to the bottom of the den. Then King Darius wrote, To all the peoples, nations, and languages that dwell on all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men are to fear and tremble before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, enduring forever. His kingdom shall never be destroyed, and his dominion shall be forever. He delivers and rescues, and his work, signs and wonders in heaven and on earth, who has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Daniel 5 and 6.
Bye. Have a great day. Please subscribe. Hope you like this video.
Okay, now hang on. This is not just a story, like a Bible, like a nighttime story.
No.
Daniel actually lived. This actually happened. He actually had a day where he didn't know exactly how things would play out. He had to trust in God. And then, so he had a test before his testimony.
I like how he's like, they're like, the lions aren't hungry, that's why they didn't eat them. And then they throw on the other guys and they get devoured before they even touch the ground.
I know. Not just them, their wives.
And the kids.
And the
everybody,
kids.
The whole family.
That's significant. I mean, the wives don't even know what the husbands are doing at work, and the kids. I mean, that's significant. It really happened.
I know.
It truly, truly happened. But look how God spared Daniel. And he spares us, too. All right. Bye.
Wow.
Great day. This video, please leave a comment.